All right, so the question came up, how did I get my copy of my mountains layer? And technically I didn't copy it, but instead what I did is I added a new layer. So we have mountains 1, mountains 2, and now I'm going to have mountains 3. I want it in the background. It's going to be the smallest of them so far. So I'll add another layer, double click on it, and this is mountain 3. Now what I did is made sure that was the active layer, lock the others to be safe. I can go in my library and just drag out another copy of the artwork. And this is mountains 3. So it's going to be furthest in the back, so I need to shrink this down. I have the free transform tool active, which is Q on the keyboard. I can shrink this down and then position this off in the distance here. So I have mountain 1, mountain 2, and mountain 3 occurring in my project. Now, to animate these and to start working with it, and this is where things are going to get fun, and this is where we get to see some of the fun occurs. So I have my 3 layers of mountains, and I want to animate these and create the illusion of moving a camera, panning it across the horizon. The way to create the illusion of space and depth within that image is to have objects move at a different rate, so that objects that are closer to the camera will go across the screen faster than objects that are off far in the distance. So each layer of mountains is going to move a little bit slower as it moves further away to establish the illusion of spatial depth within my picture. So these are movie clips, so I will be able to do motion tweens with these. So what I need to do is I'm going to take my mountains here, and I can unlock them. So I can move it over, and move it over. So I have my 3 mountains. Now I don't want to move them over like this where you can see the difference between ground and sky, because that just looks silly. So what I need to do at this point is I need to position it so that they're completely at least covering, oh, and I was cueing off the wrong thing. I was cueing off the edge of the sky. I need to cue off the edge of my movie here at this point. So as long as they are not showing, so I don't want it to be like this. Red line is the edge of my stage. So push it like this. Now, if I want to animate these, I can now take these, each object one at a time. I can right click on it and choose Create Motion Tween. I can also go in the timeline here and right click and choose Create Motion Tween. When I do so, it adds 1 second of animation. My frame rate for my project is set at, in my properties, at 24 frames per second, so it added in 1 second. So I'm going to animate these mountains over the space of approximately, we'll probably do about 3 seconds worth of animation. We'll have the camera pan 1, 2, 3. That means the mountains get to move nice and slow over the space of that. So the tween that appeared here, if I bring my cursor to the edge of it, we'll see that it switches from being a pointer to left-right arrow. That indicates I can now stretch this tween out, and I'll just stretch it all to a nice even 70 frames, so almost 3 seconds worth of animation. Now, I can take these mountains and I can move them. I think I don't need to see my guides. Oh, I'm like, my guides aren't showing. I was trying to figure out, I thought I had them turn off, but I forgot. My guides aren't showing along with the background and the sky and the ground and all of that because they only exist in frame 1. But now if I watch my animation, boom, there it is. Okay, those mountains are probably moving way more than they, over the course of 3 seconds. That means this camera's really moving quick. But if I hit return or enter, I can see there's my animation. Ooh. Now if I test movie using Command Enter, you can see there it is. And notice every 3 seconds you get a flash of the sky background and the other mountains because they occur for exactly 1/24 of a second on frame 1 only. So if I want them to show up for more of it, I need to extend their frames out. F5 is the keyboard command for adding frames. Not adding a tween or anything because my guides, my sky, my ground, they're not moving. So I just hit F5 on that layer. I can go to these 2 layers up here and hit F5. Now, instead of clicking on the layer, hitting F5, clicking on the next one, I just clicked and highlighted both layers to do it a little bit more efficiently. But you could have done it. So now, if I play this, we can see we're creating the illusion of, okay, those mountains are moving. If I want my other mountains to move, I need to select those mountains. So I can right-click in the timeline and choose Create Motion Tween. Right-click on the other layer, Create Motion Tween. Stretch those out to the same distance. But now we can see that those mountains aren't moving. So it's kind of breaking the illusion in my animation. So I need to fix that. So to fix that, what I need to do is to move those mountains. So now the mountains, I'm going to turn off the front mountains. Wrong one. Let's see, the first one that's moving. And now the second one here, I'm going to move that one, but maybe not quite as much. Oh, moved it at the wrong point. I need to move my playback head first because I'm currently in frame 1, the starting point. I need to go to the end, and now we need to move those mountains. Okay, that didn't look quite right. Starting point. And ending point. And then we have the starting point and ending point. If we move this one just a little bit. So that one moves a little bit. So we can see now the front one is moving faster, and the very front one is moving even faster. So now if I test my movie, we can see that the mountains are all moving at different speeds, which is starting to create an illusion of parallax. This happens because then we're able to detect depth in the picture, and as we move, objects are moving at different rates in front of the camera. So it creates that illusion of parallax to make it look real or something